Thomas J. Clarke is a name etched in Irish history. Here are 5 facts about his life. Born on March 11, 1858 in the Isle of Wight in England, Clarke grew up in Dungannon in County Tyrone in the north of Ireland. He was arrested and sentenced to life in prison for a bombing campaign in England in 1883, and he spent 15 years in solitary confinement before he was released. He later married Kathleen Daly, the niece of John Daly, the Old Fenian leader, and he spent a number of years in America working for nationalist organisations such as Clan na Gael, but he came back to Ireland to continue his fight for Irish independence. He was seen as the sole and one of the primary leaders of the 1916 Easter Rising, and was a driving force behind its planning. He was the first signatory of the Irish Proclamation, showing his seniority and his importance amongst the rising leaders. On May 3rd, 1916, he was executed in Kilmainham Stonebreakers Yard and was later buried in Arbor Hill Cemetery alongside the other 1916 Easter Rising leaders. Sean McDermott was the second signatory of the Easter Rising Proclamation of 1916. He was born in Leitrim on the 27th of January 1883. During his younger years he was a member of the Gaelic League, the Ancient Order of Hibernians, and later in life he joined Sinn Féin, the Irish Volunteers and the Irish Republican Brotherhood. He was the second most senior organiser of the Easter Rising following Thomas J. Clarke, and was for this reason he was the second to sign the proclamation. He suffered from polio from a young age and often used a stick to walk, and even used one during the Easter Rising. He didn't see much fighting due to his illness, but he was stationed at the GPO alongside other leaders. Following the surrender of the rebels, he was imprisoned in Richmond Barracks and later in the Kilmainham Jail, where he was executed on the 12th of May 1916 at the age of 33. In one of his final letters he wrote, "I die so the Irish nation may live." Thomas MacDonagh was another signatory of the Irish Proclamation. Born on the 1st of February 1878 in County Tipperary, he was a teacher, a Gaelic speaker, a poet and a founding member of the Irish Volunteers. He was also a late addition to the planning of the Rising, only becoming involved in April 1916, a couple of the weeks before the Rising took place. He became second in command overall of the Dublin garrison and took command of Jacob's Biscuit Factory. He and his men saw little fighting during the Rising as the British avoided the area. However, on the final day of the Rising, he, along with the other leaders, were taken to Kilmainham Jail. He became the third leader to be executed, dying on the 3rd of May in 1916. Patrick Pearse was another leading force behind the 1916 Easter Rising. Born in 27 Great Brunswick Street in 1879 in Dublin city centre, he grew up to become a barrister and educator. He founded St Enda's School, where he taught Irish and Irish culture. He was also a member of the Gaelic League, and it's believed it's here that his nationalism and republicanism grew. In 1913 he also founded the Irish Volunteers and became a member of the Irish Republican Brotherhood. He would later join its Supreme Council and its Military Council, helping plan and execute the 1916 Rising. He also co-authored and signed the proclamation and read the proclamation out on the steps of the GPO on the first day of the Rising. Later in the week he also signed the surrender notice. He, along with the other leaders, were taken to Kilmainham Jail and he was executed on the 3rd of May 1916. Joseph Plunkett was born on the 21st of November 1887 to an affluent family in South County Dublin. At a young age he contracted tuberculosis, and this affected his health throughout his life. He also had a keen interest in Irish culture and language and joined the Gaelic League, where he befriended Thomas MacDonagh. In 1915 he joined the Irish Republican Brotherhood and helped plan the Easter Rising. Just days before the Rising took place he was taken to hospital feeling quite ill, but on the morning of the Rising he made his way to the GPO and joined the other rebel leaders. His aide-de-camp throughout the week of fighting was Michael Collins. Following the surrender of the rebels, he was brought to Kilmainham Jail and executed on the 4th of May in 1916. Just hours before his execution, he married Grace Gifford in the prison chapel, and the song Grace is dedicated to this moment. Eamon Kent was born in Galway in 1881. A fluent Irish speaker, he dedicated his life to the revival of the Irish language and culture. He even signed his name Eamon Kent instead of the English Edward Kent on the Irish Proclamation. He was also an accomplished uilleann piper and played for Pope Pius X on a pilgrimage to the Vatican in 1908. He also helped found the Irish Volunteers in 1913 and was on the IRB Military Council during the planning of the Rising. During the Rising he took command of South Dublin Union along with 100 men, and they inflicted heavy casualties on the British forces during the week of fighting. He surrendered along with the other rebels towards the end of the week. In his final letter he wrote, "I die a noble death for Ireland's cause." He was executed in Kilmainham Jail on May 8, 1916. James Connolly was a trade unionist, socialist and Irish Republican. Born on the 5th of June 1863 in Edinburgh, Scotland to Irish parents, he dedicated his life to the socialist cause. He helped organise trade union organisations across the US, Ireland and the UK. In 1913, under James Larkin, he was heavily involved in the 1913 lockout and organising the Irish Citizens' Army. Towards 1916, he wanted to push the Irish Citizens' Army into their own insurrection against British rule. The IRB understood this and co-opted him into the Easter Rising plans. He was given command of the Dublin garrison and commanded operations from the GPO. He was injured twice during the Easter Rising, once severely in the ankle. This led to him being laid on a stretcher while still giving commands during the Rising. Following the surrender of the leaders, he was brought to Kilmainham jail and he was eventually executed on the 12th of May 1916 while tied to a chair. He was the final leader to be executed, and the manner in which he was killed drew public outrage, which spurred on the Irish people.